Finding records about our ancestors who served in the Revolution can be a bit challenging. There are a few different databases in FamilySearch to help you find some of these revolutionary records. This video will show you how to find those databases. Alright, let's get started with just a quick review. If you're looking for ancestors that might have served in the Revolutionary War, just go to your family tree and FamilySearch. Now you can see here that I have this Johansson and Kaisha Lisa Stromberg, but they were both not here in the United States. They did come later, but they were not here during the Revolutionary War. They were born 1835, so their family is not going to be one we want to look at. Whoops, sorry. But up here I have Charles Aldous, and I also know he came from England after the Revolutionary War. But Lucy Drake's family, let's look at that line. Okay, you look at his parents, and they were from Vermont, and hers are from New York. So let's go this line, Daniel Drake. We just keep going back. We're looking for dates between probably this 1733 to 1819, 1723 to 1805. So he was a bit old to be serving in the Revolution. We could look at her siblings. Let's see if she has a Thaddeus. So Thaddeus might have Elkanah. So these brothers right here, we could look at those brothers and see if any of them served in the Revolution. Let's look at John Perkins. So he was old enough and probably served, John Perkins. And his father died before 1750, so he wasn't, or about 1750, so he was not alive. I don't have much information on David Gardner, but if I could find him in Revolutionary War records, then I might find out more about him. To be in the pension records and land bounty records, they or their spouses had to live past 1832. So I'm probably not going to find much on him. But this is what you're going to do. You're going to go back on each of your lines. Let's go back on this family line and look at this. So I have Thomas Johnson. So there's a good chance that he served in the Revolution, 1751 to 1770. Oh, well, he died 1776, beginning, just as things were beginning. And so unless he served in like the French and Indian War. Heman Smith, okay, now he's a good candidate, lived till 1812, 1747. Now I know that he served, I have found records on him, 1730 to 1808. Daniel Warner, again, he would have been quite old. Well, actually, I don't know if he served. It was his son, Isaac Goodell. So, let me show you. This is your first thing, is to go through, and I would write on paper or put in a Word document each of the names of your ancestors that were living back in the colonial time, born about 1720 to about 1760, somewhere in that time range, and lived past 1775. I guess if they died in the Revolution, 1776, 1777, somewhere in that time frame. So that's your first thing to do. Let me pull up another tab here. So if you want to find them in the Revolution in FamilySearch, you would go up here to Search. Go to Records. And then down here in Record Collections, you would type in Revolutionary War. Okay, and we come up with all these different databases. So if it happens to have lived in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine, so you'd have to kind of know where they served. Now here's one for the French French combatants in the Revolutionary War. So if you have French families that came across that you know were French about that time and came and fought, they have a list of those people. Okay, this is compiled service records. I think that is generally just like a mustered in record. It just has their name and it doesn't tell you much on it. Here's pension payment ledgers. Now this one's pretty good, but they would have had to have received a pension. And some of the pensions, I think, started about 1822, are the very earliest ones. And then here's pension and bounty land warrant applications. Now these are the ones that I've talked about from the National Archives. This is what they're trying to transcribe, are these records. And so if you wanted to transcribe, you can look in this database to see if you can find them there versus finding them in the National Archives. I'm going to do a second video on how, if they come up in this database, how you can find them in the National Archives. And then here's Revolutionary War rolls, and I have not looked at that one. Let's see if there's anything else. Yes, there are. These are the pension applications from Virginia. So if you have a relative who applied for a pension in Virginia. So one of the things you have to remember is that some soldiers received their pension from the state that they lived in. I have one of my great-grandfathers received his pension from the state of Virginia. Many of the other ones received it from the United States. So you could look at each state, and here you've got Maine and Massachusetts. I don't know if there's databases on those from other states, like New Jersey. I didn't see New Jersey on this one. Okay, and then here is Revolutionary Soldiers and Sailors. And again, I have not looked at that individual database. So this would take a lot of time to sit there and go through each one of these. Compiled service records. Let's just take a look at that one. So here, on each one of these, it's going to come up with this. Let me just type in John Perkins. And you can put a little bit of information in, but I'm just going to type this in and let's see what comes up. So there's a John Perkins. Now one of the problems I have with this is, we'll click on it. John Perkins, there's quite a few. That does not mean that every one of these is my John Perkins, my relative. But there are a lot of them. Now this one says Delaware, Connecticut. So this gives you different states. And I can't remember where my John Perkins was from, but I clicked on this one before, and let's see what we get. And this is the problem I am finding is, so I have a regiment, so if I happen to know that, then it would let me know that that was my John Perkins, but I would need more information to find that out. Now this is on, if you want to view these, it's on fold 3. You need a prescription through Ancestry for fold 3. Now I will be doing another video on how to find these because I am finding them on the National Archives and that is free. So if I wanted to look at this, actually I'm not sure if I found this one on there. I think this was one I could not find, but there's I will be working on it and I will be doing that because many of them can be found on the National Archives website, the catalog, and you can actually see them, or you can get a prescription from Ancestry, which would be much easier. If you have that prescription and you really wanted to spend quite a bit of time looking at military records, then that would be a good route to go. Maybe you, I don't know how their prescriptions work. You might be able to get a 3-month prescription so that you could check it then. Anyways, that is all for today on this one. And hopefully you can find, oh, I have one other thing. I will do that next Give me just a second. It is a little challenging and time-consuming to search through each of these individual databases. Someone suggested that I call FamilySearch and see if they have one database to search all the Revolutionary War records. I did call them, and I was given the link below. I will briefly walk you through this and then do another video in more detail using this database. Alright, this is the database, the link. It's FamilySearch.org, the EN for English, info, free Revolutionary War records. Now, I have tried to find this by going through FamilySearch to find, the links to get me there, and I cannot find it. So I had to record this, and I will probably put this link in the comments after this, at the bottom of this video, at the end of this video. I hope I can figure it out because I just don't remember it, but it does. Anyways, I've got the link, so copy that down, record it somewhere if you think you're going to be using this quite a bit. So you come down here. Down here it gives Revolutionary War time, which is a very brief history of different things that happened. Of course, that's not all that happened. There was a lot of things in between, but there's a brief listing of what happened. Now here you're going to put the name and first name, last name. Let me pull up. So I went through my family line and I came up with 32 of my ancestors that could possibly have served, and most of them I'm finding did serve in some way. Many of them I can't find more than just a record that gives their name, but it's a name that they served in some way. And I think back then during the Revolution, most everybody who wasn't for the Tories did serve in some way because it was a way for them to protect their towns and their people. Anyway, so you may want to go through and make a list of all the people in FamilySearch, all your ancestors. You don't have to put everything else, but I would try, if I didn't do this at first and I've had to go through, I need to go back through, but find out the state that they were living in during that time, if you can figure that out. One of my great-grandfathers, and I can't even remember which one it was now, because I spent so much time going through these. I think it was this John Ping. He was born in England, and there's an English record of his birth, and then there's a baptism in Barbados, and that was like 1742 or 43, and then the next time I find him is like 1823 in Kentucky, and I'm like, okay, where was he all that time between? And I think I'm going to do a video on my research on him because I am finding that he served in the Revolutionary War, he went to Virginia, and how I add those records. That will be a future video. But anyways, so these records, these Revolutionary records, can give you more information of where they were, what transpired if you find some really nice records, especially in those pension records. So let's go through this. I'm just going to start with one of the ones at the top and put Seth Drake. He was from Massachusetts. I'm going to put in here, just search for Seth Drake, see if anything comes up. And I do have some Seth Drakes, and they're Massachusetts, and that is where he is from Massachusetts. So I would need to take the time to go through these different records. Let's just click on this first one. It says 1783. Okay, this is a compiled service record, and it's on fold 3. Okay, so the other video I will do is how to find some of these records if you can't see them here, how to find them in the National Archives. Let's click on a few more, see if they come up with the same thing, same one. Okay, and then let's go down here a little farther, see if we get anything different. Just click on this one, see if it comes up looking exactly the same. Same thing. So you might want to attach one of these. I would not attach all of them. Okay, get out of here. Now I have 11 pages of this. I'm not going to go through all of that. So let's go back. That's for me to spend my own time. Okay, I'm going to do, I have not searched this grandfather. N-S-I-N-I-S, okay. We'll search for him. I didn't, oh, he's from Virginia. Okay, and there is one from Virginia, and here's a pension record. Oh, but this one's from Pennsylvania, and this is Virginia. So this probably is the same type of record where I can't see it. Yep. Okay. So it's very likely, here's a pension record for John P. Ennis from Virginia. Okay, so this one I can tell it's a pension and it can be found in the National Archives. I am sure of this one. But the reason it's the pensioner is Polly McKinney. She is the widow of John McKinney. And he is mentioned somewhere in that record. It may be that it was somebody that she needed to say knew her husband served in the military. I don't know. I would have to go in and look at that. And like I said, I will show you how to find these records in the National Archives in another video. Okay, let's see. So here's another, that's a P. Let's see if there are any more Virginia records. Here's some more Virginia records. Okay, so let me go back on this and I'll type in my John Ping. I did search him for a little bit, and I think I found a few records. I also used FamilySearch AI to find more things on him. Now on here it doesn't come up John Ping, but I did find more records, and like I said, I will probably show you how I found more information on him. Okay, I have a John Hargis. Okay, and I think my John Hargis is from Virginia. So there's a pension record. Let's look at that one. Okay, again, now he comes up in a record for John Smith on this record. So another one, let's see what this one is. It says it's a pension record, and it says Pennsylvania and Virginia. Okay, so without me having a subscription to Fold 3, I cannot view this. If you have that, it'd be a piece of cake. Click on it, you'll be able to see the record. So obviously I have there's quite a few from Virginia, so I have more things to look at. Okay, this is for William Langford. All right, let's try something else. I did find, and I should have written it down. Let me try Moses Thrall. Because one of these, when I did it, when I searched, a record came up that I could actually see in FamilySearch. My Moses Thrall is from Connecticut. So again, there's more records for me. That just says Thrall. Okay, and Click on this real quick. Probably fold 3. Yep. Okay. Let's try. I think it might have been my George Kephart. Nope, not that one. Maryland. So mine was not from Maryland. There's another George Kephart. Again, the fold 3. Okay, well, I should have written down which one it was that I did, but I did find somebody when it came up. The record was actually there, and I was able to attach it. So that's it for this video. Like I said, I will do another video using this where you find your ancestor here and then how to find that information in the National Archives records. Thanks for watching. Happy hunting!